The deer is already moving when the tiger breaks cover. Two of the forest's fastest decisions are about to collide. The deer cuts between the trees. The tiger reaches empty air and drives chest first into the snow. He is one of the largest cats alive, but the energy he has just spent is gone, and his next meal may be days away. How can a hunter this powerful still lose to hunger? This is the Russian Far East, where the Pacific meets a long wall of mountains and winter can hold the forest for months. Somewhere among these ridges lives an Amur tiger, sometimes called the Siberian tiger, though most of its remaining range lies far to the east of Siberia. It carries the familiar machinery of every tiger: a flexible spine, retractable claws, immense forelimbs, and jaws made to hold struggling prey. Yet the central problem of its life is not strength. It is distance. Distance between one deer and the next. Distance between cover and a successful ambush. Distance across a territory large enough to hide an entire human city. This is the survival system behind the world's northernmost tiger and the narrow margin that separates a giant predator from an empty stomach. The Amur tiger is often introduced with a superlative, the largest tiger in the world. The truth requires a little care. Tigers vary greatly between individuals, regions, sexes, and eras. Historical records include exceptional Amur males, but an exceptional animal is not an average one. Modern wild males are more often reported in a broad range around 160 to 190 kilograms, while females are smaller. Some individuals exceed that range, and popular accounts frequently repeat much larger figures without explaining whether the animal was wild, captive, unusually fat, or reliably measured. What is not in doubt is that this is an enormous solitary hunter. Thick winter fur enlarges its outline. A broad chest and powerful shoulders help it control prey that may fight back. Wide paws spread its weight over snow, while the long tail stabilizes sudden turns. Beneath the coat, however, it faces the same physical law as every warm-blooded animal. A larger body costs more to maintain. Heat is constantly leaking into the winter air. Muscles need fuel even while resting. Every patrol, climb, and failed pursuit adds to the bill. Large size can improve heat retention because volume rises faster than surface area. It can also let a tiger attack large prey that offers a valuable return. But size is not free armor against hunger. It is an investment that must be paid for in meat. That distinction matters because a tiger does not live inside a zoo schedule. No keeper places food in the same corner each afternoon. A wild tiger's meal exists as a moving, listening, smelling animal, often separated from the hunter by kilometers of forest and several opportunities for escape. The tiger must first find prey without being found. Then it must approach close enough for a short burst to matter. Then it must survive the struggle. Only after all three problems are solved does strength become food. Researchers have tried to place numbers around this hidden economy. One energetic model, built with movement data from GPS-collared Amur tigers, estimated that an adult male would need to consume at least about 5.2 kilograms of food per day, averaged over time, to avoid starvation. A non-reproducing adult female required less. A mother raising 4 cubs carried a far greater burden. These are not portions served once every 24 hours. Tigers feed in pulses. A successful kill may provide several heavy meals, followed by days of travel and searching. GPS cluster research in the Russian Far East estimated an average kill interval of about 6.5 days among the studied animals and an average consumption of roughly 8.9 kilograms of prey biomass per day. The authors also warned that a simple energetic model underestimated observed consumption. Wildlife costs more than a resting equation can capture. Imagine the account as a balance that never closes. A deer adds a large deposit. Walking through shallow snow makes small withdrawals. Crossing a ridge costs more. Deep powder raises the price of every step. A chase is a sudden expense with no guaranteed return. Injury, infection, or a damaged tooth can reduce the animal's ability to earn the next meal while its basic costs continue. This is why the opening failure matters. The tiger did not merely miss a deer. It converted stored energy into heat, churned snow, and distance, then received nothing back. One failed attempt will not doom a healthy adult. Tigers are adapted to irregular feeding and can rest after exertion, but repeated failure narrows the margin. If prey is scarce, the search between opportunities grows longer. If snow is deep, the search becomes more expensive. If the tiger is a mother, every missed meal is multiplied by the cubs waiting behind her. Hunger, then, is not a dramatic switch. It is a gradient. It begins with a slightly longer route, a slightly poorer choice, and a body quietly consuming its own reserves. Even a successful kill does not become usable energy all at once. The tiger may drag the carcass toward cover, a feat that protects the meal but demands more work. It feeds heavily, rests nearby, and may return for several meals. Between visits, ravens, eagles, foxes, bears, and smaller scavengers can discover what remains. Cold can slow decay, but it does not give the tiger permanent ownership. Disturbance may force it to abandon food before the available meat is exhausted. The size of the prey also changes the bargain. A small animal may be easier to subdue, but provide too little return for a large predator. A wild boar or red deer offers far more energy, yet can injure the hunter. Tusks, hooves, and antlers make the final seconds dangerous. A serious wound does more than hurt. It can reduce every future hunting opportunity while increasing the time needed to recover. This is why the tiger's feeding strategy cannot be reduced to a daily number. The real unit of survival is a sequence: search, approach, attack, control, feed, defend, recover, and search again. Failure at any point can erase much of the value created before it. A tiger's stripes are usually described as camouflage, but camouflage is not disappearance. It is delay. In the broken light of forest, vertical dark bands interrupt the outline of the body. A deer may look directly toward the tiger and fail, for one crucial moment, to assemble the fragments into a predator. The tiger uses that moment to shorten the distance. It lowers its head. The shoulder blades rise and fall beneath the coat. Each paw is placed with control. The body may stop completely when the prey lifts its head. Wind direction matters because a tiger hidden from sight can still be betrayed by scent. Frozen leaves, crusted snow, or a snapping twig can end the attempt before speed begins. This is stalking, a sequence of small decisions designed to avoid one expensive large decision. The final rush is brief because the tiger is built around acceleration and power rather than prolonged pursuit. Its flexible spine lengthens the stride. The hind limbs drive the body forward. The forelimbs are not only for running, they must also absorb impact, hook, and control. But a deer already at full speed, with open ground and enough warning, owns the advantage. That is why realistic tiger hunting rarely resembles a long race across a clean field. Cover is part of the weapon. Terrain is part of the weapon. Silence is part of the weapon. The tiger tries to make the contest short enough that its strength becomes decisive before the prey's endurance does. This also explains why a tiger can appear slow in much of its life. It walks to conserve energy. It pauses to listen. It chooses routes that reduce unnecessary effort. Constant sprinting would not make it a better hunter. It would make it a hungry one. The spectacular burst is the visible tip of a much longer process. Before it comes patient movement, scent, memory, and a map of the forest held inside the animal's behavior. The Amur tiger's stronghold is a temperate forest of the Russian Far East, with a smaller but growing presence across the border in northeast China. This is not a uniform sea of snow-covered conifers. River valleys, oak stands, birch, Korean pine, mixed woodland, and steep ridges create a patchwork. The composition of that patchwork determines what can eat, hide, and survive there. A tiger does not eat trees, but trees decide whether a tiger eats. Korean pine and oak produce energy-rich seeds and acorns. These feed wild boar and influence the wider prey community. Forest openings support deer. Dense cover gives both predator and prey places to disappear. Roads can make movement easier along one line while increasing disturbance, access for hunters, and the danger of collision along another. The tiger's principal prey varies across its range, but wild boar and several deer species, including red deer, sika deer, and roe deer, are central to the story. Studies along the China-Russia border have repeatedly linked tiger presence with prey availability. Where large-bodied prey becomes too scarce, suitable-looking forest may no longer function as tiger habitat. This is an important correction to the way habitat is often imagined. A green area on a map is not automatically a living home. It must contain enough prey, enough cover, connected routes, breeding opportunities, and a level of human pressure the animals can survive. For a small insect, a missing patch of food may be a local problem. For a tiger that may patrol hundreds of square kilometers, a decline spread across the landscape changes the geometry of life. Each prey encounter becomes farther from the last. Each boundary becomes harder to defend. Each female needs more room to raise cubs. The forest can remain standing and still become empty in the way that matters most to a predator. Each prey species also presents a different problem. Roe deer are smaller and agile. Red and Sika deer can offer a larger return but have sharp senses and the speed to escape once warned. Wild boar are muscular, compact, and capable of defending themselves. Young animals may be easier targets, while a large adult can turn an attack into an injury. The tiger does not choose from a printed menu. It encounters a changing population shaped by massed crops, snow, disease, hunting, reproduction, and the decisions of other predators. Diet studies describe what was eaten after all those filters operated. They do not mean every tiger consistently prefers the same prey in every valley. This variation protects us from another easy myth, that one prey species alone can save the tiger. A resilient landscape carries a community. When one population falls after a severe season, another may partly buffer the loss. When several large prey species decline together, the tiger has nowhere inside its range to move the problem. Winter defines the popular image of the Amur tiger, but temperature alone is not the main challenge. The tiger has dense fur, a seasonal coat, and a large body that helps conserve heat. The harder problem is that winter changes the surface on which every animal must move and the location of every meal. Powder can swallow a paw. A crust can support a deer for one step and break under a tiger on the next. Snow preserves tracks, offering information, but it also records the tiger's own passage. A trail may reveal where prey has moved while telling another tiger who crossed the valley and how recently. Wild boar can face severe winter pressure when deep snow and frozen ground limit access to food. Deer shift routes and gather around reliable forage. These changes may concentrate prey, but they can also reduce the total number of animals available in later seasons. A hard winter is therefore not simply good or bad for a tiger. It rearranges costs and opportunities over time. The tiger responds with behavior rather than brute force. It may use packed animal trails, forest roads, ridgelines, and river corridors to travel more efficiently. It revisits places where prey has been found before. It scent marks trees and paths, leaving chemical information that can outlast a visual encounter. At night, sight and hearing help it work in low light. Whiskers read close obstacles. Soft paw pads reduce sound. But none of these senses reveals prey through unlimited forest. Detection still depends on distance, wind, terrain, and chance. In premium footage, winter often looks clean and silent. For the tiger, it is crowded with information. The age of a track, the direction of a hoof, urine on a branch, disturbed snow beneath oak trees, the call of a bird, and the sudden absence of ordinary sound. Survival belongs to the animal that can turn those fragments into a useful decision before the energy account runs too low. The coat helps, but it creates its own seasonal rhythm. Dense guard hairs and underfur trap air close to the skin. The pale winter coat can appear less saturated than that of tropical tigers, though it remains orange rather than white. Fur around the neck and belly thickens the silhouette. None of this makes the animal immune to cold. It lowers the rate at which heat is lost. Behavior completes the insulation. A resting tiger can curl tightly, shelter from wind, and choose a sunlit slope or protected hollow. Activity itself produces heat, but unnecessary activity burns the same fuel needed for tomorrow. The efficient winter tiger is therefore neither constantly active nor frozen in place. It alternates deliberate travel with long periods of recovery. That rhythm is easy for a film to misread. hours of stillness can look like nothing is happening. In reality, digestion, thermoregulation, listening, and risk assessment continue. The burst that lasts seconds is financed by the quiet that may last most of a day. Adult tigers are largely solitary, but solitary does not mean disconnected. Their lives overlap through scent, sound, tracks, and occasional direct meetings. A resident male's range may overlap those of several females. Females may maintain more stable core areas, especially when raising cubs. The exact size of any home range changes with sex, season, prey density, landscape, and the presence of neighboring tigers. In low prey forests of the Russian Far East, those ranges can be enormous. Field researchers have described female home ranges on the scale of hundreds of square kilometers, far larger than those in some prey-rich tropical sites. The reason is not that northern tigers enjoy walking. Space expands when food is spread thinly. Patrolling such an area is a practical problem. A tiger cannot stand at every boundary. Instead, it places signals at routes another tiger is likely to use: a prominent tree, a bend in a trail, a ridge, or a road. Scent marks and scratches announce identity, sex, reproductive condition, and recent presence. This communication can prevent costly fights. Two powerful predators do not benefit from discovering every territorial disagreement with their teeth. Yet boundaries are not permanent walls. Young adults disperse. A resident disappears. A female searches for a safer den. A male follows the scent of a potential mate. Movement also exposes tigers to the human landscape. A forest road may be the easiest route through deep snow, but it is also a line used by vehicles and people. A fragmented corridor may force an animal toward a settlement. When prey declines in the forest, livestock and dogs near villages become more tempting, and the risk rises for both tiger and human. The same large range that allows a tiger to find scattered prey makes protecting it difficult. One animal may cross protected land, logging concessions, roads, hunting areas, and an international border. Conservation cannot succeed at the scale of a single clearing. It must work at the scale of the tiger's decisions. The scale also changes how population density should be understood. 10 tigers cannot simply be placed into a forest that can feed 5. Territorial spacing and prey supply set limits long before the land looks crowded to a human observer. When a resident female survives and raises cubs, those young animals must eventually find vacancies or disperse through connected habitat. A recovered source population therefore needs safe routes outward, not only protection at its center. For males, dispersal can cover long and unfamiliar routes. For females, access to productive prey habitat is closely tied to reproduction. These different needs mean that a single average home range number can conceal the most important biological variation. Conservation maps must leave room for sex, age, season, and the changing distribution of food. For an adult male, hunger threatens one body. For a mother, the equation is transformed. Tiger gestation lasts about 100 days. Litters often contain 2 to 4 cubs, though larger and smaller litters occur. The cubs are born dependent, hidden in a den, and unable to follow their mother on long hunts. For their first months, she must leave them, find prey, make a kill, feed, and return while the cubs remain vulnerable to cold, disturbance, and other predators. As they grow, the cost rises. They need milk, then meat. They begin following her and learning the landscape. Play develops coordination, but hunting skill requires experience. A young tiger must learn which prey can be approached, how wind moves through a valley, when to freeze, and when an attempt has become too expensive to continue. The energetic study of Amur tigers estimated that a female raising 4 cubs to independence would require, on average, roughly twice the energy of her own non-reproductive needs over that long period. The model expressed this as about 11.4 kilograms of food per day averaged across 651 days. The precise number is less important than its meaning. Reproduction is not one event. It is nearly 2 years of elevated demand. A male can leave a poor hunting area. A mother with small cubs is tied to a den and a safer core of terrain. If prey is depleted around that core, she cannot simply move without cost. If she is killed, The loss is not one tiger, but potentially an entire litter and the years of future reproduction they represented. Cubs normally remain with their mother long enough to learn to hunt, often becoming independent around 18 to 24 months and dispersing later as they establish their own ranges. Many will not survive every stage. Starvation is only one risk among disease, injury, conflict, and the disappearance of the mother. The future of the population is therefore carried by the most constrained hunters in the forest, females that must repeatedly turn uncertain prey into reliable food. A healthy tiger usually avoids people. Humans are noisy, unpredictable, and dangerous. But behavior changes when the normal system breaks. An injured tiger may be unable to control wild prey. A diseased animal may lose awareness or coordination. A young disperser may enter unfamiliar country. A hungry tiger may follow domestic animals toward the edge of a village because they are concentrated and easier to locate than deer spread across the forest. This does not make the tiger malicious. It makes the situation dangerous. Canine distemper virus has been confirmed in Amur tigers. Affected animals can show neurological problems, lose normal fear, wander near roads or settlements, and become unable to hunt effectively. Snare injuries, damaged teeth, or wounds from prey can create a different route to the same crisis. The predator still needs food, but its normal tools no longer work. Human-tiger conflict is often described only at the final moment, when livestock is killed or a tiger enters a settlement. By then, the causes may have been developing for months or years. Prey may have been poached. Habitat may have been cut by roads. Waste or unprotected livestock may have created an attractant. Local people may have little information, compensation, or reason to tolerate a dangerous animal near their homes. Effective response, therefore, requires more than removing a tiger. Specialist teams investigate tracks, health, age, behavior, and the events that brought the animal close to people. Some cases require hazing or better livestock protection. A sick or injured tiger may need capture and treatment. An animal that repeatedly threatens people may have to be removed from the wild. The goal is not to pretend conflict can be eliminated. It is to stop a predictable chain from reaching its worst outcome. The Amur tiger's 20th century recovery is one of conservation's most important reversals. By the 1940s, only a few dozen were thought to remain in the Russian Far East. Protection from hunting, anti-poaching work, habitat conservation, research, and decades of enforcement allowed the population to recover. Monitoring reported roughly 750 Amur tigers in Russia in 2022, including cubs. That number is evidence of progress, not permission to stop. A population count does not reveal every local shortage, genetic bottleneck, disease risk, or broken corridor. The central threat can be invisible because it begins one level below the tiger. Poachers do not need to shoot a tiger to remove tigers from a forest. Taking wild boar and deer removes the predator's energy supply. Research across tiger landscapes shows a close relationship between prey abundance and the number of tigers an area can support. This is sometimes called the empty forest problem. Trees remain, satellite images stay green, but large animals disappear. Without prey, a tiger reserve becomes architecture without food. Logging and roads can deepen the effect. The damage is not always the area of forest physically cleared. A road creates access. Access increases hunting pressure, traffic, noise, fire risk, and fragmentation. Tigers may use quiet roads as travel routes, which can make them easier to detect. Prey may avoid disturbed areas, changing where a tiger must search. Across the border in northeast China, recent monitoring has documented a growing tiger presence in landscapes where the species had become rare. That recovery is tied not only to protecting cats, but also to restoring prey, removing snares, maintaining connected habitat, and coordinating across national boundaries. A tiger population is ultimately a property of an ecosystem. Count the cats, and you measure the result. Protect the prey and the landscape, and you protect the process that produces that result. That process also depends on people who live in tiger country. Anti-poaching patrols need reliable funding, training, transport, and information. Livestock owners need practical barriers, rapid response, and a credible way to report losses. Hunters and forest users often know the landscape in detail, Excluding them from every decision can waste knowledge and weaken trust. Conservation lasts when the cost of keeping tigers is not carried only by the nearest village. Technology helps target effort but cannot replace it. A map may identify a snaring hotspot, yet a team still has to reach it. A camera may show a tiger crossing a road, yet planners still have to protect the corridor. A population estimate may show recovery, yet enforcement must continue after public attention moves elsewhere. The recovery of the Amur tiger proves that decline is not inevitable. It also proves that recovery is a verb. It must be repeated through each winter, each budget, each investigation, and each generation of cubs. Wild Amur tigers are difficult to observe directly. Dense forest, low population density, enormous ranges, and the tiger's own secrecy make continuous filming exceptional. Science fills the gaps with traces. Camera traps record stripe patterns unique enough to identify individuals. A photograph becomes a date, a location, a direction of travel, and sometimes evidence of a cub or injury. Repeated detections can help estimate abundance and survival without pretending that every animal has been photographed. GPS collars reveal routes and clusters of repeated locations. When a tiger remains near one place, researchers can investigate after it leaves. The site may contain a kill, a bed, or another reason for the pause. This method helped estimate kill intervals and consumption while reducing dependence on rare direct observations. Tracks remain valuable, especially in snow. Their size and spacing can suggest the animal's direction and gait. Genetic material from scat or hair can identify sex and individual relationships. Necropsies and field diagnostics reveal disease. Patrol data map snares, illegal access, and the places where enforcement is most needed. No single tool tells the whole story. A camera trap sees only its narrow corridor. A collar follows only the animal carrying it. Tracks can disappear in weather. Population models contain uncertainty. Reliable conservation comes from combining imperfect signals and stating clearly what they can and cannot prove. The same discipline should guide any documentary about this animal. A dramatic image is not automatically typical behavior. One huge male does not define the average. A captive measurement does not describe a wild population. A chase shown on camera does not reveal all the failed stalks that ended before the tiger ever ran. The truth is often less convenient than the myth, but it is also more interesting. The tiger survives through a system of limits, not through unlimited power. Return to the failed hunt. The deer is gone. Snow settles into the trench cut by the tiger's forelegs. For a moment, the forest holds the entire equation in one frame. Power on one side, absence on the other. The tiger will not continue sprinting. It will slow its breathing, conserve what remains, and begin collecting information again. A hoofprint may lead toward a valley. The scent of boar may cross an old road. A distant alarm call may be worth investigating. Most of the work ahead will look quiet. That quiet is not defeat. It is the behavior that makes another attempt possible. The title calls this the world's largest tiger, but size is only one part of the animal. The more important achievement is precision, knowing when to move, when to stop, where prey is likely to return, and how far the body can afford to travel. An Amur tiger can overpower a deer. It cannot overpower an empty landscape. It cannot hunt prey that has been removed, cross every road without risk, or feed cubs on the idea of wilderness. Its survival depends on a chain extending far beyond the cat. Oak and pine producing food, healthy herds moving through connected forest, people choosing not to set a snare, patrol teams reaching remote valleys, scientists reading tracks, and communities being protected when a tiger comes too close. Break enough links, and even a giant starves. Keep them intact, and the next set of tracks will not end in an empty forest. They will continue beyond the ridge, into a landscape still large enough to hold a tiger we may never see.